we're going to get to the news. President Trump told reporters on Saturday that he wants the Justice Department to take action against his political opponents. So you better watch your ass, windmills. According to a report from the New York Times, President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, previously accepted a bag with $50,000 in cash in an undercover FBI investigation. Man, what an embarrassment for the Trump administration. Never take a bag with less than $100K. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced a new effort last week to reform the organ transplant system. I guess he's still mad about the time he received a brain with a worm in it. And they have a bad return policy. President Trump told reporters last week that he enjoyed his state visit to the UK and added that he saw more paintings and statues than, quote, any human being has ever saw. Because he may be a 79-year-old man, but he's also 8. How was England, Timmy? Well, I saw more statues and paintings than anybody ever saw. I saw them. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy last week threatened to cut federal funding to Boston's public transit systems. Luckily, that's not how people in Boston get home. In a new interview, President Trump suggested that media mogul Rupert Murdoch will be involved in the deal for U.S. control of TikTok. So don't worry, kids, your beloved TikTok will be perfectly safe in the hands of this 94-year-old man. An Austrian daredevil recently attempted to set a Guinness World Record by lighting his body on fire and pulling a car more than 300 feet in less than a minute, which broke the previous record of there was no previous record. They were like, just pull it a foot, man. Pull it a foot and let's get the hose. Musician Harry Styles ran the Berlin Marathon yesterday and entered the race under a fake name. That's crazy. Harry Styles is his real name? Pillsbury has introduced a new funfetti sourdough bread mix, and if that sounds good, you're also baked. And finally, an organized swim was held yesterday in the Chicago River, and one participant jokingly told reporters, quote, I swallowed one big gulp of water, so I'm a little worried about that. Well, it wouldn't be the most dangerous thing you can swallow in Chicago. And that was a monologue. We have begun our fine show that we're so happy to be doing for you, and we got a great one for you tonight. He is CNN's chief Washington correspondent and anchor of the lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. His book, A Race Against Terror, Chasing an Al-Qaeda Killer at the Dawn of the Forever War, is out October 7th. Our friend Jake Tapper is back on the show. And she... Look at this. Wait, I want to tell you about her since you obviously don't know who she is. She's an award-winning artist and songwriter. His debut solo album, That Showbiz Baby, is out now. Jade is joining us. How exciting is that? Before we get to our wonderful guest, Donald Trump is publicly calling on his attorney general to prosecute his political enemies and said TV networks that criticize him should lose their broadcast license, but that's not us, right? We good? What? We're on a network? But I don't even wear a suit. This is a network? I thought we only aired on those gas station TVs. This is all very exciting news. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. All the way back in his first term, Trump made it very clear that he wanted to prosecute his political opponents, but he couldn't. And he was very unhappy about that.
One of the things they keep asking for is for the Justice Department to really, truly, honestly investigate Hillary Clinton.
The saddest thing is that because I'm the President of the United States, I am not supposed to be involved with the Justice Department. I'm not supposed to be involved with the FBI. I'm not supposed to be doing the kind of things that I would love to be doing. And I'm very frustrated by it.
That's the saddest thing. Trump gets away with stuff because he confesses it out loud. But think about how incriminating that sounds. Just imagine you picked up your spouse's phone and you found a text to a coworker that said the words, "I'm not supposed to be doing the kind of things I would love to be doing, and I'm very frustrated by it." Like, what's even the explanation for a text like that? You can't turn around and say, "I was frustrated because I wanted to buy you a sexy bikini for your birthday, and I was worried I picked the wrong one, so I asked Stacey to send me a pic of one of hers." Is that something you might believe? Of course, I don't have trouble buying birthday presents for my wife because I just go to my nearest Spencer's Gifts and buy her the first thing that makes me laugh out loud. Last year, it was Pin the Junk on the Hunk poster. And then when it was my birthday, she bought me a container of penis-shaped candy called Eat a Jar of Look, we know what the other one likes. You know, the only problem we ever have is when we unknowingly get the same thing for one another, like the Christmas we both got buttons that say "flush it" and make a toilet sound. I keep mine at my desk to cheer me up whenever I'm sad. Anyway, the point of all this was to say that Trump made it clear in his first term that he wanted to prosecute his political opponents but couldn't. So this time, his loyalists started drawing up detailed plans for how to change that.
Donald Trump and his allies have begun mapping out specific plans for using the federal government to punish critics and opponents should he win a second term, with the former president naming individuals he wants to investigate or prosecute.
During any of these meetings where they mapped out their plan for revenge, was there at least one guy who raised his hand and said, "Hey, what about inflation? Should we maybe start making a plan for that? Because we're 8 months in and grocery prices are still out of control. Coffee, beef, even the penis pasta at Spencer's Gift is $7.99 a pound. It's called a weenie linguine, and yeah, we eat it on date night." So Trump made clear he wanted revenge. The only impediments the first time were officials in his government, people he picked, like his FBI director, Chris Wray, or his Attorney General, Bill Barr, who wouldn't go along. But Trump vowed to fix that problem if he won a second term.
He says he was too nice last time, and this time it'll be different, saying of senior cabinet officials, put this up on screen, "I let them quit because I have a heart." This is, people in the administration quitting. "I don't want to embarrass anybody. I don't think I'll do that again. From now on, I'll fire."
Look, even if you're the world's biggest Trump supporter, and if you are, thank you for tuning in to Gas Station TV. I think you can admit the sentence, "I don't want to embarrass anybody," is not true. This is a guy who once gave his first vice president a little peck on the cheek on national television. That's the textbook example of embarrassing someone. It's like a grandma giving you a kiss at your high school graduation party. Surprised he didn't insist on showing everyone a slideshow of Mike Pence's baby pictures. He was such a cutie. Even when he was 6 months old, he already had the gray hair. Now Trump is doing exactly what he said he would do. He's firing people who refuse to go along with his plan for retribution.
Sources telling ABC News President Trump is expected to oust the top federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Virginia. The president reportedly upset that that prosecutor could not find evidence to bring criminal charges against one of the president's biggest adversaries, New York's Attorney General. And late today, that prosecutor now says he's resigning.
Just hours after those reports surfaced, Trump posted on social media, writing in part, "He didn't quit, I fired him."
I don't know, dude. Sounds like you quit. You can't claim you fired someone after they said they quit. I tried that with our cue card guy, Wally, when he misspelled a word once, but he one-upped me because he always has a card ready that says the words, "I quit." So he can hold it up anytime I tell him he's fired. So then I rehire him, hoping to have the chance to fire him, but the cycle starts all over again. Like, just watch how it works. "Hey, Wally, you're fired." Damn it! All right, fine. You're hired again. Now put the card down where you can't reach it. You're fired! Ah! All right. You're rehired again. You know the worst part is, every time I rehire him, he gets a signing bonus. So, I'm like 50 grand in the hole on this guy. The point is, Trump was mad because the guy he handpicked couldn't find evidence to charge New York's Attorney General with a crime. And when he ousted him, Trump offered a truly insane excuse.
Eric Siebert, Trump's hand-picked U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, spent 5 months investigating New York Attorney General Letitia James. Federal prosecutors dug into properties James owns in Virginia and interviewed 15 people looking for evidence she committed mortgage fraud, but they came up empty. Trump said today he wanted Siebert out because his nomination was supported by Democrats.
I just want to read what the president said about Eric Siebert. Today, I withdrew the nomination of Eric Siebert as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia when I was informed that he received the unusually strong support of two absolutely terrible sleazebag Democratic senators from the great state of Virginia.
This is what we get for electing a president from New York, because sleazebag is almost a term of endearment here, you know? I gotta go see my cousin Angelo at Staten Island. Guy's a bookie with mob connections. He threatened to break my thumbs if I don't pay up. Total sleazebag, love him to death. Seriously, think about how crazy that is. The president said he fired one of his own appointees because he got too much support from Democrats. Meanwhile, Democrats are on TV begging Trump to compromise with them.
Are you going to vote no and urge your Democratic colleagues to vote no, which will end with the shutdown?
Look, we hope it doesn't come to that.
But what if it does?
Because everyone knows the American people are on our side, and I hope and pray that Trump will sit down with us and negotiate a bipartisan bill. That's how it's always been done in the past.
And if he doesn't, I'm just confirming here, you will vote no. Is that correct?
We are hoping, Dana, that he will negotiate with us.
Should work out well. At this point, Democrats are basically high school nerds who, in order to save the bullies' time, pre-shoved themselves into lockers. And while Democrats are pleading with Trump to work with them, Trump is pleading with his own attorney general to go after Democrats.
We are going to begin with the latest moves in President Trump's retribution campaign, openly calling on the attorney general to prosecute his political enemies, breaking down the long-standing walls between the White House and criminal prosecutions.
This morning, President Trump putting extraordinary pressure on his attorney general, Pam Bondi, publicly calling on her to use the power of the Justice Department to prosecute his political enemies. The president writing this message on social media addressed to Pam, insisting nothing is being done, adding, "We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. Justice must be served now."
That's what's killing our credibility and reputation? Not the fact that the president's tanking our economy, dismantling our public health infrastructure, and watching royal horses take giant dumps right in front of him? We played that clip last week, and I'm sorry, but we're gonna never stop. That's just a comedy rule. Regardless of president, regardless of party, if a British horse takes a dump at an official presidential event, we're gonna play that clip on a loop forever. And I can't, it's what we deserve. It's what we deserve. I can't believe I even have to say this, but I think we should all be able to agree that the president just publicly making a list of people he wants to put in jail is a bad thing. It's bad when Trump does it, and it would have been bad if Joe Biden had done it, but he didn't. Is now a good time to remind everyone that when Joe Biden was president, his own son, Hunter Biden, was convicted in a federal court? So if Joe Biden did have a list of political enemies, he must have got it mixed up with his list of family members to shop for at Spencer's gift. Of course, the other part of Trump's crackdown on critics is his renewed interest in government censorship and his claim that criticism of him on network television is illegal.
I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I got 97% negative. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. The stories are they said 97% bad. So they gave me 97. They'll take a great story and they'll make it bad. See, I think that's really illegal, personally. Again, when somebody is given 97% of the stories are bad about a person, that's no longer free speech.
No, that is free speech. That's like the whole point of free speech, that it's protected even when you don't like it. You think I liked it when I hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner back in 2011 and one reviewer said in my performance, quote, "He had marbles in his mouth"? And that reviewer turned out to be Donald Trump? No, I didn't like it. Mainly because I don't have marbles in my mouth. I have them in a jar, and I get it from Spencer's Gifts. And I think you're supposed to put them in your butt. Yeah, you definitely are. I haven't put them in yet. Also, yes, comedy shows make jokes about the president. You know why? Because he's the president. He's the most powerful, most famous person on the planet. And in this particular case, he's a billionaire and his party controls everything. You want us to make the exact same number of jokes about Chuck Schumer that we make about Donald Trump? The only person who would enjoy that is Chuck Schumer, and there's no chance he's awake at 12:37. We also make plenty of jokes about Joe Biden. You know how many times we showed that clip of him tripping up the stairs, or that video of him frozen at a White House music event like he was on mushrooms, or the photo of him with his mouth open at the debate. I mean, I wish he had marbles in his mouth. He had none. That was just a void. He looked like one of those carnival games where you shoot water into the clown's mouth. I also make fun of myself on this show all the time. I once said to myself that during COVID, I looked like an orphan from a Dickens novel and a teenage lesbian's passport photo. And when my writers submitted that joke, I told them that's illegal, but it wasn't illegal. The point is, we make jokes about politicians and people in the news, including Joe Biden. It was just harder with Joe Biden because he didn't say much. You, on the other hand, talk all the time. You never stop talking. You didn't stop talking when he was president. You've talked more than all the other presidents combined ever. People say Johnny Carson didn't make this many jokes about politics, but he would have if every time he spoke, Ronald Reagan did 15 minutes on how toilets don't flush well anymore. And if that happened, Carson would have wished he had a button like I do. And by the way, it's not just Democrats who have criticized Trump and his FCC commissioner, Brendan Carr, for their crackdown on free speech. There's also been backlash among conservatives.
Disney suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live on Wednesday. The suspension came just hours after Trump's FCC chair, Brendan Carr, appeared to threaten to hold up a major affiliate deal over Kimmel's comments.
Frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz called those comments, quote, dangerous as hell.
He threatens it. He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Yeah. And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
All right, first of all, I want to say I agree with Ted Cruz, and I want to say it because I feel pretty sure there won't be another occasion to say it. Second, as someone who has spent a lot of time working on impressions and not always had it work out well, I just want to say, Ted, keep workshopping that one, because I empathize. That does not sound like a mobster. That sounds like a Russian spy posing as a mobster. Hello, my name is Angelo. I am ordinary Italian mobster here from New York. Here to eat your finest borscht. Oops, borscht, I mean gabagool. It is possible to stand up to this kind of bullying and censorship. For example, Trump tried to sue the New York Times, and that suit has already been thrown out. And minutes before we started taping, we got word that our friend Jimmy Kimmel will be back on the air tomorrow. That's great news. There has been a massive national backlash to Trump's crackdown on free speech, even among conservatives. I haven't seen a poll yet, but I think if you asked Americans if the president should be dictating what TV hosts can and can't say, you'd get about 3% positive and
97% negative.
This has been a closer look.